happy Tuesday, besties and bosses. We are going solo without Instagram today. Thought I would try to have fewer technology snags. We'll see how this goes. We might bring them back as well. You'll have to let me know what you prefer, but I figured this way would be a little bit easier. Tell me how y'all are doing. For those of you in the US, we're in Thanksgiving week. Are you all in the holiday mode? I feel like some people I've been talking to this week on client calls are outside of the US, so it's sort of like business as usual. And then my US clients, everyone's kind of already in Thanksgiving mode. I personally love Thanksgiving. I don't eat turkey. I'm a veggie, so not always in the mood for turkey. That's not what I'm excited about, but I love the being together. I love this time of year. I love the weather, hence the sweater weather, and I love just getting to be with family and friends. We had my mom in town last weekend, y'all, or this weekend. We got to see Bob Dylan, which was very fun. So lots of fun holiday things. Y'all have to let me know where in the world. Hey, nice to see you. If you're celebrating Thanksgiving, how you're feeling about it. If you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, also just very happy to have you here. If you're doing any Black Friday sales, I want to know all the things from everyone. Because today's live stream, we're going to be talking about holiday strategies that you can steal, that you can borrow from your holiday planning to make next year your most profitable. Because I find during the holiday season, particularly with Black Friday sales coming up and Small Business Saturday and Cyber Monday and then the holidays, we tend to roll out certain plans and strategies that really are beneficial year round. And I think there's some really great lessons, reminders we can take from this time of year. So I'm going to break those down. Quite a few I was looking at, but I'm going to break them into two categories today. And we'll break those down so that you can, yes, implement those now for the holidays. But it was last week we were talking about how so much of what we're doing now, ideally we've been planning out for the last few months, and really we want to give strategy some time to work. And if we're looking at next year's profit, next year's revenue, next year's goals, we really want to start thinking about that now and the strategies we're implementing, the plans we're putting in place now. So I think a lot of, yes, we're in holiday season, but really we're also in the season of looking out to next year and how we can leverage now to get results next year. So we're going to dive into that today, and definitely available if you have questions, reflections, all the things. Please be sure to use me as a resource. A couple announcements, because I don't always remember these. I'll try to remember to recap these at the end. Last week we did this. We gave away a free session to someone who left a comment on the live stream. I've been loving getting to do these. I always say I wish I could give everyone in this group a free session. I love coaching and the power of coaching so much, and getting to connect with y'all and getting to give some sessions and connecting with you. It's been really just such a reminder to me of how much you can do in 45 minutes. Really, a coaching conversation can change your whole business in 45 minutes. So I'm going to give another one away today. Whether you're watching now or on the replay, I will check back on Friday sometime during Black Friday. If you just leave a comment, you can leave an emoji, you can say hi. Now we're on the replay. It doesn't have to be anything specific, but I will pick someone who has left a comment and we will give you a free coaching session to use anytime in the month of December. And we will also have, it is my birthday next week, so we have our live stream next week will be on Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern instead of Tuesday. We'll be doing some more giveaways then, and on Tuesday in the group. And for the holidays, we're gonna have all sorts of giveaways. So if you don't win this week, we will keep the giveaways going. Other announcements, my free 6-week sales course, Sell Out Without Feeling Like a Sellout, which covers the mindset and strategy for the art of sales without the ick. Your last chance to enroll in that for free is December 1st. We are turning this into a paid course. It'll still be very accessible. I want to make sure I'm not putting a high, sticker price on this, but it will be free until December 1st. We'll make sure we drop a link for that if you want access on that. It is an amazing course. Someone just messaged me. They just signed up for it like 2 days ago, watched week 1, and said they just booked their highest paying client they've ever booked. So it's a great course. I've heard people told me they've taken the course and nothing else has helped them get booked out. So sign up. It's free. December 1st, it will turn into a paid course. And then last announcement, we are opening up a coaching intensive in December. So we have that available. So for any of you who have been looking for some support with your sales, with your mindset, with your strategy, to book out, really looking at 2022, and you're ready to grow and scale your business, you want to do it your way, we do have an intensive spot we're opening up. So I'll make sure I drop a discovery call link as well. Hey, Regina, nice to have you on. So those are all the announcements. Let's dive into today's stuff. I'll recap them at the end as well. Reminder, comment, say hi, and you will be entered for that free session. And I can't wait to give another one of those. It really, really makes my heart so happy. Outside of being married and my family and my friends, coaching is really just what lights me up, makes me so happy. Okay, so today, let's chat holiday strategies you can steal, you can borrow from your holiday planning to have next year be your most profitable. So I think something that a couple things that come up for me around the holiday season. I think it's really interesting during the holiday season where anyone notice it's like this is the time of year we pull out the nice clothes. If you're someone who, I don't know, my mom pulls out the nice china. We pull out all the nice things to use. And then after the holidays, we put those things away and it's we forget that we can use them year round. So we put so much effort into this time of year. And I think the same thing happens in business, right? We put special attention and care to our strategy, to our sales, to our planning. And then it's almost like it's just for this time of the year, right? Just for Black Friday sales or just for Christmas or just so we can take some time off over the holidays. And then it's sort of business goes back to normal. And I think, what's really important is for us to start looking at some of what works well through the holidays and why, so you can implement that year round. We talked on the podcast, I think it was last week, the episode, we talked about one question for epic launch numbers and big business results. And we talked about how much of if you have a big launch and you hear someone has a 100K launch, really big launch numbers, so much of those results, I was calling them in-season results, right? In-season launch results are the result of what someone does before a launch, the off-season results. And today I want to talk about all-season results and all-season strategies, things you can borrow now and use all year, instead of kind of being that person who's we just do this special stuff for the holidays and then that's it. To let me know if anyone else knows what I'm talking about, or is that just the people I know, where it's you pull out the special candles and all the special things, but just for Christmas season. So we're going to talk about this from a planning and a sales strategy perspective. I thought we'd go sales strategy first because I think that's probably most relevant for all of you right now, and then we'll end on the planning piece. Also, I get excited about talking sales stuff. So one of the things I really noticed, and I'm just pulling up my notes because I had a couple things here that I wanted to highlight. One of the really big things I noticed that I talk with clients about that really was sort of what made me think about this to bring this to all of you is, anyone else notice how for some reason it seems because Black Friday and Small Business Saturday and Cyber Monday, because those are big holidays, we know everyone's going to go shopping, it suddenly feels like you're allowed to sell. And so a lot of thought goes into planning your Black Friday sale or planning your Cyber Monday sale and writing those promos, and all of this effort gets put into those. And hey, I'm all for a good Black Friday sale. You have to let me know if anyone's checking out any good sales outside of our online space. I'm all for that, and I think that's a really beautiful thing, and it can serve a lot of businesses. But it's really interesting because for a lot of business owners, particularly in our space, if you're a service provider, a lot of what we're selling is going to be at a lower ticket. It's not where we make the majority of our sales. I have a small business. We'll have a Black Friday sale on my sales course. We always make money from that, but if I look at what our business brings in for the year, I have a multi-six-figure business. We've brought in over 100K additional this year from last year. We did the same thing last year. We tend to bring in at least 100K additionally, right? So I look at that and I look at the percentages. I'd say our Black Friday sales are 1 or 2%. It's a very small percentage, and it's still important, and it still is a really great lead-in for us to bring in new clients. But for many of you who are service providers, that's going to be the case. And yet, think about how much thought and effort and time goes into planning the Black Friday sale, writing the funnels, doing the promos, really wanting to leverage that sales opportunity, right? It almost feels like FOMO, you're going to miss out on something if you don't have a Black Friday sale. And yet, for many of you, it's probably a very small percentage of your overall revenue, your overall income. And so what I've been chatting with clients about, yes, absolutely, let's do the Black Friday sale. Let's leverage that time. Sure, people have their pocketbooks open. People are looking to buy. Absolutely, you can contribute to that. Or you can be like a company like Decium that does something different and they make it a whole month-long thing. It's a skincare company for those of you who don't know. For sure. But I think the lesson under this, and something I've been reminding clients, is what we really want to look at this is why are we just making such a big deal about selling and putting so much thought and intention into selling for one day of the year that's a really small percentage of the revenue, and how can we take the same mindset and approach and apply it to the rest of the year, right? Ideally, you feel like you can sell every damn day of the year in your business. Ideally, you're sharing so much value with your audience, you can always be selling. Ideally, every time you want to sell, you're putting the same thought and energy into a promo post or into writing that sales funnel not that you have to have a traditional sales funnel, but right, ideally we're having this thought process behind it, and this is something you're doing year long. Ideally, you're planning out, these are the times I'm gonna sell, this is what I'm gonna sell, this is my sales process, this is my customer journey, not just for Black Friday. And so I say that because I think, again, what happens is, particularly for those of you who feel like selling is icky or selling is gross, or like, I don't know if I can really sell, it feels like there's permission around selling on Black Friday. It's honestly one of the days I like Black Friday, because I feel like suddenly everyone feels like it is safe to sell. And what I want to offer here is really the mindset, it's always safe to sell. We don't need Black Friday, Cyber Monday to be allowed to sell. You really, really don't. But use your planning. Take a look at, what is your planning process? What is your strategy process? What's your mindset around selling, whether it's Black Friday or a Christmas special? And see if you can now take that and look at 2022 and look at, how can I take the same energy, the same mindset, the same approach, the same thought and care, and do the same thing in January and do the same thing in February instead of just this time of the year. Let me know if that's making sense. And remembering the reason, I think this is twofold with Black Friday, right? The reason this feels so much better for many people, for many entrepreneurs, is one, it feels like there's permission. So how can you give yourself that permission, right? Do you feel like you don't have permission the rest of the year? If so, that's a great place to do some mindset work and just look at, how can I give myself some permission to sell year long? And then I think the other thing that happens, and this is just another great strategy you can borrow from the holidays, I think when we have something like Black Friday, we really start to lean into incentives and really lean into getting specific around our messaging with our sales and helping people understand why this is something to buy this time of year. And so those are two more additional, so you can look at, why is this different now? But those are two more things you can borrow from your holiday planning for the rest of the year. So I'm gonna explain both of those because I think those are two key great sales pieces there for you. Let me know if you have questions. I feel like I'm talking very fast today. I had coffee a little later than I usually do, so I'm a little more amped up and animated, so tell me if you need me to repeat anything. So what I was talking about there is your messaging and then the incentives. So with something like Black Friday, if we're selling, I was talking about this with a client today who's has a launch at the end of the year. One of the things we were talking about is how it's really important always, but specifically with the holidays, to make sure your messaging, your sales messaging, what you're putting in your copy, what you're saying on a live stream, what you're putting in your marketing, say you're doing a webinar, let's say you're sending sales emails, that it really is specific to the time of the year, specific to your audience and where they're at this time of the year. And you're helping someone understand not only why they should buy from you, but why it really makes sense for them to buy now. We get really specific and thoughtful with that, right? That's something you can take year long. That is not something that is Christmas specific or Hanukkah specific or whatever it is you might celebrate, or Black Friday specific. This is a sales strategy that works year long. So I think just looking at that and seeing, okay, how am I thinking about this? How am I thinking about messaging my offer during the holidays? And how can I take this same frame of mind, the same way I'm thinking about this year long? And then the other thing we tend to do, right? Black Friday is all about the incentives. And I want to talk about the difference between incentives and discounting, and then we'll talk planning stuff. But Black Friday is a great example of this. That is all about incentives. What we tend to do if we're selling something over the holiday weekend is we really look at, how can we create an incentive that's exciting enough that compels someone to want to buy over this long sales weekend, right? And let me explain incentives and discounting, that difference there, and then we can look at how can you use this for next year. So with an incentive, what we're really doing is we're really thinking about the fact that us humans suck at making decisions. I'm always chatting about this with clients. If you've taken Sellout Without Feeling Like a Sellout, we talk about that in there, right? Us humans are really bad at making decisions. When we do make buying decisions, we tend to make it to avoid pain and to seek pleasure. But a lot of us, who hasn't sat over the hover button to buy something that's $39 and sat over that and sat over that and sat over that, and then it wasn't until you got an incentive from someone that you're like, okay, finally I'm gonna buy this. I just did that this week. I needed to buy mascara. Sephora sells mascara. They just gave me a great incentive, which was 15% off because I'm a VIB member. And suddenly that mascara that had been sitting in my shopping cart, I went ahead and bought it. Right? So when we use incentives in our business, what we're really doing is we're helping the person who we're selling to make a decision. I talk a lot about heart-centered sales and the way I think about selling. And I really think about that as in helping the person in front of you get clear on what it is they want, and then supporting them to make an empowered decision to move towards what it is they want. Do they want it? Do they not? We're essentially helping someone get clear and helping someone get out of indecision and either buy something or not buy something, or invest or not invest. And so if we think about an incentive, what an incentive does is it really helps someone get clear on what they want and then to make that empowered decision for themselves. Because again, we suck at making decisions as humans, and so this helps move someone off the fence when we give them an incentive. This is really different than discounting. So I think sometimes we think about Black Friday where it's like, I need to discount something. And what I want to offer for all of you, and this is this holiday planning strategy you can steal for next year, is really thinking about, instead of discounting, how can you incentivize your audience, your potential buyers, to make a buying decision? When we discount, what tends to happen is we tend to discount for a few reasons. Sometimes it's because, we haven't sold enough of something. Sometimes we're in a scarcity mindset. Sometimes it's because we think someone can't afford it and we're trying to make that decision for them. Sometimes it's because we're kind of racing to the, how can I make this as cheap as possible so someone will say yes? But it's really coming from a very different mindset. And when we're discounting, oftentimes, if you're coming from a discounting mindset, it's sort of like this idea of you kind of have to race to the bottom of the barrel and be the person with the cheapest price to get someone to buy, right? That doesn't, for most of you who are service providers, if we try to approach selling from a discounting mindset, it really probably is going to not serve you. It's going to discount you, right? It's really not going to serve you, and it really doesn't serve your perceived value of the work you offer. However, if you can intentionally, consciously incentivize people to make a buying decision, it might look like a discount, right? These might look like very similar things. We talk about this so often that the action, the strategy can look the same, but it's the intentionality behind that, the mindset behind that changes everything. So you can take a strategy that looks like discounting, but if you're coming from the mindset of making an incentive, it's really coming from a very different place. And that is really the place of, I'm going to give someone an incentive to help them make that buying decision. Let me know if that difference makes sense, and if that makes sense in terms of why you would incentivize someone versus discount something, and how one serves you, how they could look the same on the surface, but how one serves you and one really doesn't serve you as much. And I think incentives can always be really beneficial for you in business. Particularly, I chat with clients about this quite a bit when they are getting fully booked, or when they're launching a new program, or if you're launching a program at all. Incentives can be really powerful, bonuses, incentives, all of these can be really powerful. Again, not because you need to discount your services. We're not talking about discounting at all. It's really to incentivize someone to make a buying decision, to get off the fence, to really make that buying decision instead of having that thing sitting in their shopping cart that they're kind of going back and forth with. So I think that's where incentives can be really powerful. And this can be a strategy that you can implement year round. So I think what happens with Black Friday, or with Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever that is, the holiday shopping season, these are strategies we pull out. And it's like, this is the one time of year I get to do this. And I'm teasing because I know many of you do employ these strategies year long, but I really want you to see and think about, why does this work now? It's not because everyone's doing it now, so you have to. This works now because you are helping someone again to make that buying decision. You're really supporting them. This is simply a smart strategy for sales that you can implement year long. So I think that's a really great one to look at. Hey, if I'm applying this now and this is working, what are my opportunities in 2022? How can I employ this so that I can really, really leverage and benefit my sales process next year, not just over the holidays? Let me see here. The other, we're talking about tailoring your messaging to the season and really helping people know why it's relevant for them to buy now. And I think, again, this is not just a now strategy. We just happen to think about it a lot more now. But this is something, when COVID hit, for example, this is something I was chatting about with every one of my clients, something I was thinking about. How can you really tailor your messaging so it's really specific to why someone would want to invest now with what's going on currently in your climate? This is something that is a strategy. Yes, we employ it now, but we want to think about how can you start to think about next year and the opportunity to be specific any time of year, to really be specific around your messaging and why someone should buy from you at any given time of year. The more specific you can be in your messaging around that, the more you're going to help increase your sales, not just now, but year long. I know we talked about that already, but had a couple notes there, and that feels that feels important. We talked about the mindset of it being okay to sell. And the last thing here, and then I'll go into the planning side of this because I wanted to cover the planning piece a little bit as well. But the last thing on the sales piece here that comes up in terms of the holiday strategies that you can steal to use next year is noticing how over the holidays, we come up with so many reasons to sell, so many reasons for people to buy. And meaning it's Christmas, right? We're buying gifts. That feels like it almost seems like a no-brainer. Like this is a great reason for us to sell because it's a great reason for people to buy. But I want you to realize that it's kind of like Valentine's Day. Like we fabricate this. Like these are all really just marketing opportunities that have been fabricated and that we have just all kind of latched onto, and as a society we buy into, to use the buying phrase. And so as a business owner, you are a marketer. You get to be smart and strategic year long and think about how can I strategically come up with reasons for people to buy or reasons for people to pay attention year long, right? We don't have to wait for Hallmark to tell us Valentine's Day and Christmas, or for the diamond industry to tell us to buy diamond rings because, I'm thinking about that for weddings because diamond rings, that is very much a marketing ploy, and why we now, or not I shouldn't call it a ploy, but that was very much a marketing strategy that the diamond industry, the jewelry industry implemented as a reason for people to buy diamonds, right? That really increased those sales. Before that, that was not something traditionally we did. So you get to do the same thing year long. And I say that because I think so often in business, we forget, talk about this with clients all the time. You are at choice. You are an empowered business owner. You are the CEO. You are the marketer. You get to make these decisions. You do not have to wait for your audience, for society, for Hallmark. I'm calling it Hallmark, but you get what I'm saying, to tell you what those opportunities are. You really get to sit down and be strategic and look throughout your year, map out your year, and see what are those buying opportunities you want to teach your audience are important, and how can you create those for yourself. So I think that's just a fun thing to play with and to notice. The only reason we lean into it so much more now is simply because we've just been told it's okay, that's what we're supposed to do, but it's really a fabricated marketing strategy that we've just kind of all bought into. So you get to do that for yourself in your business year long, not just this time of year. Let me know if those make sense. If you have any questions, I'm going to pivot us a little bit. I need one more sip of water. This time of year, my throat gets so much more dry because the air is so much more dry. I want to pivot us a little bit because we're talking about holiday strategies that you can implement year-long for those year-long results. And we were talking more on the sales side of things and the sales process side of things. But I also want to talk a little bit about the planning strategies that really serve you, because so much of your planning, so much of what goes into business and making money on your terms and scaling is the result of planning. They've done studies on this. People who are successful on average spend more time planning. Brendan Burchard talks about this in his book. What's it called? Is it called Success Principles? I think it's called something different, but he talks about this, how on average, people who are successful, people who make more money, they spend more time planning. And what I find over the holiday season, and the reason it feels like this might be like just a little bit more elevated in terms of thinking about business, is because we tend to spend more time planning. We tend to sit down and spend more time planning our marketing, planning our sales, like we were just talking about, planning intentionally the time off you're going to have, where you're going to have fun, how you're going to create spaciousness, what's your content, are you planning your content in advance, how are you communicating with your team, right? So much more effort tends to get put into planning strategically this time of year, reviewing your year, reviewing your data, what has worked, so you can look forward to next year. And I really want to highlight and say, if you're spending some time doing that right now, this time of year, I really want to invite you to think about, how can I take this type of planning and not just make this something I do this time of year because I want to take a week off or 2 weeks off to be with my family? How can I take the same care to plan year long? Right? It doesn't have to be a special occasion we plan for. It doesn't have to simply be because you want to take off or team wants to take off. We can take the same planning approach year long. And if you can start to implement those planning strategies that you're doing now for the holidays to take off and implement those in January and in February, this is really how you set yourself up for next year to be your most profitable. Next year's results get started now. Always am saying that to clients, right? Like whatever results you have now are the result of what you were doing 3 months ago. If you want results next year, those get started now, not from a hustle burnout type of place, right? You can take all the time off you want, but from a planning strategic kind of mindset, and what you're implementing now really is going to dictate your results next year. So I think this is something we want to think about, and sort of how we were talking about at the beginning of the live stream, where it's so tempting this time of year where it's like everything is special. We pull out all the special things, we pull out all the stops, we have the special champagne, we wear the special clothes, and then it's almost like everything gets boxed up after the holidays. And instead of, why can't you have the special champagne or wear the special clothes year long, or use the special candles or use the special plates? Same with your planning. We give such special attention to our planning and to our strategy this time of year. And I really want to invite you to look at, how can I take the same care next year? So I'm going to highlight a couple of things I've noticed that I've been talking about with clients, just to give you some ideas of things that maybe you're strategically implementing right now that you can really look to continue to implement, that will serve you and your revenue next year exponentially. So one thing that I really notice is looking at planning strategically your content. And whether you're solo or you have a team, what I find this time of year, again, because you want to take time off, or because you want to have more fun, or because we have things like Black Friday sales or Cyber Monday sales, there's so much more attention this time of year to really planning out your content strategy, to batching your content in advance, to scheduling in advance, to giving it to your team in advance. And then that can often go out the window after the holidays. Really want to invite you to look at, if you're doing that now, this is something I really want to invite you to look at. How can I stick with this and let this be a year-long strategy? Because the more you plan out your content marketing strategy, the more you batch that in advance, the more you plan out your sales, what you're promoting year long, the more you communicate that with your team, the more you plan out intentionally, the more not only spaciousness you can have next year, but the more you're going to have ease implementing all of that, so you can ensure you're bringing in those results, instead of sort of like, well, we got through December, now we're back to like, I'm just going to try to create content by the seat of my pants every day. Oh, I'm so dry, y'all. Anyone else, y'all, let me know. Anyone have any good, because I can't drink bubbles when I'm live, because then I want to burp. Anyone else have any good like holiday, I could do tea, but then I get really warm too. Any like good holiday beverages that would be good for my throat while we're on lives? So let me know. I will take, and then I'll drink those year long in theme of what we're talking about today. But if anyone has any fun beverages you like that are not caffeinated and not bubbly, I've got all sorts of specifications, I would love to know. Okay, so the next one here that I find in terms of the planning, and we were talking about planning in advance, but the other kind of strategy I see really come out this time of year that I really want to invite you to think about, how can I implement this next year and continue to implement this, because this will really serve you, and this is directly tied to your profitability and your revenue and your ability to grow and scale next year, is your intentionality, the way you are conscious about setting expectations and holding boundaries with clients, with team, with your audience. So what I find this time of year, because people are traveling, because people are taking time off, because their team is taking time off, because they have extra things going on, right? There is so much more care taken to not only planning in advance, selling, planning and batching the content like we're talking about, and communicating with team, but there's also so much more care set around setting clear expectations with clients, setting and holding boundaries with your team and with clients. And this is really something that serves you year long. But I think, again, kind of how we were talking about how it almost feels like it's okay to sell on Black Friday and you have permission, so everyone wants to sell, and that's something that mindset you can take year long. It's the same thing with setting team, client, audience expectations and boundaries. This is really a cornerstone for your business foundation and for your success. And I'm always talking about this with clients, because so many of my clients are heart-centered and they're caretakers and they're people pleasers. And I resonate with that. I'm a recovering people pleaser. I'm a person who likes to care for my clients deeply. And so often things like boundaries or setting clear expectations can almost go out the window, because it feels like, well, that's okay, because like I really need to take care of my people, or that's why people are paying me. I also think for those of you who have some stuff that comes up around enoughness, or people paying you for your services, some of the mindset stuff that can come up around that. I think sometimes there can be a fear around setting expectations or boundaries, because the fear can be like, oh, well, if I hold a boundary around this, is someone really going to pay me? Or if I set a clear expectation around this, is this client going to leave? Will they just hire someone else? I'm just so lucky to have this client or this money. Anyone resonate with that? You have to let me know. And don't forget, if you chime in and leave a comment, you're entered in to win a free session today. And I will check those on Friday. But notice how there's so many things that can come up around setting clear expectations in terms of what someone can expect when they work with you, or expectations around dates for deliverables if you're someone who gives deliverables, or expectations around turnaround time, or setting boundaries around your response time, or setting boundaries around when you will or will not be available to take a call or to respond, right? Or if you're going, I'm trying to think what another good boundary example is, boundaries around payments, or when you will or won't receive payment. And what happens this time of year, again, because we are traveling, or because you are really making that intention to create some more spaciousness so you can be with your family, or so you can go to a holiday party, whatever that might be, I think we're just a little bit more aware of really setting those boundaries and holding them. Or because you're going out of town, maybe you're setting that clear expectation and communicating with clients and letting them know in advance you're going to be out of town. But these are really core principles that don't just apply this time of year, that you can steal from this time of year and see, wait, if I can do this now, if my business is safe now when I'm communicating and holding a boundary, or when I'm clearly communicating expectations with clients, if that's serving me now and no one's mad at me and people are still paying me and I'm still booking clients, of course that's going to serve me year long. I promise you this will serve you year long. So notice where you're setting those clear expectations that maybe you aren't usually, or notice where you're setting boundaries more clearly, and see, can you borrow from yourself now and see, I have all the evidence, I know how to do this. Not only do I know how to do this, but it's safe to do this. People are okay with this. No one's getting mad at me. For any of the people pleaser things that could be coming up, or some of the scarcity that could be coming up around this, and how can I now implement this in January? How can I implement this in February? How can I let this now be a new mode, a new way I show up my business, and see, this really is something that is going to exponentially allow you to increase your profitability next year. Because the more you set clear expectations, the more people know what to expect from you. The happier your clients are, the more taken care of they feel, the safer they feel, the more well-served they feel. Happy clients are also going to go off and hire from you again. They're going to become repeat clients. They're going to go off and market for you, right? And setting clear boundaries, holding those clear boundaries, same thing. Clear boundaries feel really good to people on the other side. I know when a service provider has clear boundaries with me, my OBM has really great boundaries, for example, that makes me feel really safe and taken care of. I know then how to work with her. If she didn't have clear boundaries, honestly, I wouldn't feel as safe in our container working together. I wouldn't feel as supported. I wouldn't know what is and isn't okay. And so I want you to notice that on the other side as well. This is a great opportunity this time of year. Notice where other people are setting clear expectations and holding boundaries, and how good that feels and how supportive that feels, so that you can also allow yourself to implement those more. And notice and make that connection to, wait, when I set clear expectations, when I set and hold boundaries, that is directly linked to clients feeling taken care of, team feeling taken care of, people feeling really good and supported. That is linked to the money in my business, the profitability in my business. If I can do it this time of year, I can do it next year. Let me know if that makes sense. Then the other, do we have time for one more? Yeah, we're not as long as I thought. I have time for one more because I had a whole list. There's two more things on the planning side, strategies that they're sort of quasi-strategies that I think we implement so much this time of year that can really, really serve you next year. Again, so that you can really make next year your most profitable, but also your most easeful and most joyful. Whoever just joined live, hello. I'm letting everyone know I had so much fun last week giving away a free session. If you comment below, say hi during the live stream anytime now, everyone watching the replay as well, I'm gonna pick a free winner. All you have to do is say hi, drop an emoji. I will pick a free winner on Friday as to someone I'm giving a free session away to, because I have been loving doing that and getting to connect with some of you. So 2 other planning strategies you can steal from this time of the year for next year. So one that I find seems so obvious, and yet be honest with yourself and see, do you do this year long? We're talking about year-long strategies and year-long results, is really taking the time to review your data and to review what is and is not working in your business, and to take that CEO time to really give your business an audit. So what I find is this time of year for most of us around New Year's or holiday season, what do? We take some time to give our business an audit. We take some time to give our mindset an audit. We take some time to really review, reflect on the year past, and to look at what worked so well, what didn't work so well, what can I celebrate, what can I do more of, what actually was a great idea when I tried this, but actually didn't work out as well as I want. We take a really great look at our business. We tend to look at the data a little bit more closely. We tend to just give our business an audit. We also tend to look at things like, we do this from time to time, like what links are broken, what links aren't broken. Like we just kind of give the whole business a run through. Sometimes we go through our customer journey. We tend to just go through things a little bit more. And granted, some of this is because for many of you over the holidays, things do, we take some more time off. We have some time to work on projects. We have some time to give our business an audit. But what I really want to invite you to think about is how beneficial that is, and how that CEO time, taking that step back and taking that bigger picture lens view look at your business, that CEO time is so incredibly valuable. And we do it this time of year because we tend to have more time, and because the season, New Year's, tends to invite us to do that. But this is something as a CEO, we talk about CEO time so much in here. I really want to invite you to think about doing year long. Taking that time, it doesn't have to be every week, but taking that time maybe once a quarter to zoom out and take that big look at your business, to give your business an audit, to look at the data in your business, to spend some, thinking, brainstorming, planning, looking ahead and strategizing, which we tend to do a lot of this year as well, time of year as well, but also taking a look at really what's already working in your business, going through your customer journey, for example, testing some things out can be so, so valuable. And, Marie says, I did the sellout class last year. I'm going to do it again a year later. It's such a different vantage point. And I agree, what is working, what is not working, and great and amazing questions. Thank you so much for taking the course. I'm so glad you're taking it again. That makes me so happy. I think with courses, it's so fun to see, like you're saying, the different vantage point a year later, because we all grow exponentially. Everyone here, there's no way everyone in this group has not grown exponentially the last year in business. All of my clients have, all of you have, I know I have. And so it's so nice to look at material with fresh eyes and exactly what is working, what isn't working. What I would offer for everyone, if you're going to say, this is something I do every year, but I want to implement this yearly, what I would offer is, right now, look next year and put some time in your calendar for that CEO time, because what happens is we think we're going to do it. We're hearing like, oh yeah, Kim's talking about that. That's a great idea. And then what happens is we get into next year and we fall into old patterns. It's like by day 9, most people's resolutions have fallen off, right? We just get back into patterns and habits. Business takes over. We forget to actually carve out that CEO time. So I would really invite you, as you're in the planning mode, right? As we're looking at next year, as we're talking about what you do now really sets you up for your results next year, pull out your calendar and see, can I just schedule in a few blocks of that CEO time to look at the data, to see what is and isn't working? And what I would offer when you do this, and something I think this is what we do so often this time of year and what I support clients with, and I think the New Year's really highlights this, really allow yourself to focus more on what is working and the celebration aspect there, because whatever is working for you, that's really going to be the evidence of what you want to double down on. And so if you review last year, if you review this year, it's not last year yet, 2021, right? Review what is working, what has been working well, what worked that maybe I forgot has worked. How can I do more of that? And then when you look at what isn't working, what I would invite you to look at is more looking at the data, not from a place of what's broken, what do I need to fix? I think we can spin out and waste a lot of time fixing things that aren't broken in our businesses. My clients are probably, whoever watches this, anyone that's a client of mine is probably laughing, because so much of what I support clients with, especially as they're scaling and they're going from, starting their business to hitting, 5-figure months, or to scaling to hitting that first 6 figures and then scaling to multi-6 figures. So often our conversations are really around not creating problems and not fixing things that don't need to be broken. It's really easy to do. And so what I invite you to think about as we're playing with this idea of how can I take some of that CEO time with what isn't working, I would look at this more from a place of, let me look at the data. Where am I spending time in my business that isn't giving me the return I want? That maybe I just need to stop doing that activity. And could I reallocate my time somewhere else? Instead of what isn't working, now I need to go try to tinker, fix, mess with things. I would really look at what is working, let me double down there. What isn't working, maybe that's just somewhere I don't need to spend as much time next year, as opposed to what can I fix? So hopefully that distinction makes sense. It's very much the 80-20 principle. 80% of your results come from 20% of your output. So when you're playing with that CEO time and playing with that review and looking at the data, I would invite you to think of it through that lens instead of how can I now just create a really long to-do list? Because remember, we're borrowing from holiday strategies that work this time of year long. Oftentimes in the holidays, what we're really looking at is we have limited time because we are maybe taking some time off, because maybe we're traveling, because maybe we want to spend some time with family and friends. And so a lot of times what we are really looking at when we're doing the CEO time and looking at, yes, the year in review and giving a business audit, but we're also really looking at the 80-20 principle. What are the core few things I need to focus on to keep my business going, to be able to sell, to be able to market, so that I can take time off, so that my team can take time off, right? We're not looking at how can I add a bunch more shit onto my plate this time of year. And notice how that really serves you in your business. So I would invite you, as you're doing that audit, if you choose to, and you schedule that time next year, to then also borrow from this place where it's like, wait, if over the holidays, focusing on the 80-20 works for me, the same must be true year long. Can I borrow this principle year long? So hopefully that makes sense for you. Which brings me to my last really fun thing that we do this time of year, a strategy that I bet many of you don't even realize you're implementing this time of year, that I really want to invite you to think about implementing next year, that is directly correlated to making next year your most profitable yet. And I save this for last because I knew if I opened it with this, some of you would probably eye roll me and be like, really? That? And no, it's not mindset work, though. I do think mindset work is a year-long strategy for year-long results, but it's really looking at carving out intentional space and time for fun and rest. So what happens this time of year, right? For those of you in the US, most of you are taking Thursday through Sunday off, or you're working fewer hours, or if you're working on Friday, it's, less time. It's very intentionally planned out time. If you're not in the US, you're maybe doing this over December. Sometime maybe you're taking some time off with family and friends. And what are most of you doing? Like, what is the reason you're intentionally planning more, like we talked about? What's the reason you might be batching content more? What's the reason you're communicating with team in a different way? For a lot of you, it's because you're intentionally planning time for fun and for rest. And this is one of those, like, why do we only break out the good china this time of year? You can use good china like every day as special. Life is very short. Let's not wait just for one time of year. Obviously, I get it. There are certain holidays we do special things, we have special rituals around, but really taking that mindset of every day is special and looking at what works now works year long. And when we look at something like making time for fun and play and rest, I cannot tell you how much I sincerely believe that is what is underneath creating profit in your business and being able to scale your business and having next year be your most profitable year ever. When I look at what took me, I'm sure I've shared this with y'all before, what took me from when I call riding the struggle bus my first year in business to scraping by and being a great coach but not making a lot of money, to having my first 10K month, to getting booked out, to have my first 5K month, to 20K months, 30K months, 40K months. And I look at the difference. I've said this so often, my strategy hasn't changed much. If anything, my strategy has gotten more simple and I'm doing less. I'm definitely working far less. And part of that has to do with getting team support. But when I look at that, actually, if I look at that first 5K month for me years ago, I remember distinctly a conversation with my coach where she challenged me to have more fun. and to focus less on my business and to focus less on working so hard. If you're here, you're a high achiever. If you're here, you're someone who cares about your business. Most of my clients don't have a problem showing up for their business. That's not their challenge, right? It's almost like it becomes such an obsession if you care about your work, where it's almost like easy to think about too much. The challenge is actually letting that go and making space to have fun and making space for the rest of your life and making space for joy and making space for rest. And these are the things that really is the energy that allows you to make more money. I swear when I started implementing that more, that's what helped blow my business up. Not like some secret magical strategy, like that was the strategy, because we have to think when you're resting, when you're taking care of yourself, when you're making space for fun, you have a completely different energy. You show up in your business, right? Hopefully you all can tell when I'm here. I love what I do. I love my clients. I love being here. There is an energy of like, I want to be here. That would not happen if I was like grinding it out and feeling like I just have to do this to follow through my strategy so that I can sell, so I can make money, right? That also happens though because I'm filling my cup outside of business so that I can pour into my business and my clients and to all of you. And so I think just seeing that connection and correlation there. The other thing that I think, well, two other things that I think happen here and why this is important to think about when, actually, there's a lot here. They've done a lot of research when we're playing and when we're having fun. What's his name? Greg McEwen talks about this in Essentialism quite a lot. If you think about kids who play a lot and you think about how creative they are, how innovative they are, the insights they have, right? When we're playing, when we're having fun, our mind is able to make different connections. We're able to be more innovative. We're able to come up with new ideas. It's really hard for me, at least, to sit down at a blank document and like grind out content. But if I go do something fun, if I go take a 10-minute break and go talk to Eric in the other room, I can come up with a content idea in 2 minutes flat. You know what I mean? But if I'm like sitting here trying to grind it out and work hard, that's never going to happen. And so I think we sometimes forget the connection with play to creativity, with fun to creativity, with being in that space to having those creative downloads, to being innovative, to being able to make connections. For so many of you, if we think about what it is, many of you are coaches. A lot of what we do is we make connections. We have to have a different perspective, even if you're not a coach, as a marketer, right? Like that's what we're doing in our content. That's really hard to do if you're not creating the space and rest for new ideas to come in, and if you're not allowing yourself to have fun and play for that creativity to thrive. The ex-actress in me like just sees over and over again how allowing for that joy, fun, playfulness, creativity is really what allows us to thrive. That's what so much of business is about. And then for those of you who are into manifesting an energy, the energy of fun, the energy of joy, the energy of play, that's literally the energy we manifest money in. I think that's also just really practical strategy. Because just think, if I was like all grinded out and coming on my live streams and just miserable, it'd be really hard for any of you to like even want to hang out with me live, or for this group to grow, for anyone to want to hang out here, for anyone want to hire me. I'm very aware of that connection with our energy. And yes, it's, I think, the energy of money. I do believe in the woo and the manifesting side, but even from a really practical standpoint in terms of what are we attracting and how are we able to show up in our business? How are we able to show up and serve? How are we able to show up and support people? I think there's such a connection there. And like, I feel like I like really want to drive this home. And then last thought there is, if subconsciously you've made the connection to your business where I have to grind it out to make money, and I only get to have fun and joy and space at the Christmas holiday, like when I plan, you're not really setting up, we talked about incentives earlier from selling, we're not really setting up an incentive in your brain subconsciously that says there's any reason for you to want to work in your business and make money. You're kind of making an equation in your brain that says working in your business the rest of the year kind of sucks. And so at a certain point, your brain will start to reject money. This is why oftentimes people aren't consistent. It's not because they're lazy. It's because they've set up a system where it kind of sucks to be consistent, kind of sucks to run their business. It's kind of draining. Like there's no real energy exchange or payoff. And so I think it's so important, yes, to obviously have the energy exchange of money in business, but to see we have to give ourselves the energy exchange of rest, but also joy and fun and play, and seeing how if you can make that connection for yourself subconsciously, that also means you have such a subconscious drive to want to show up in business, to want to sell, to want to make money, to want to be consistent, to want to serve, to want to create content. And I'm always saying, 95 to 99% of your conscious action gets it started in your subconscious mind. So if we can make that link subconsciously, you're just setting yourself up for success next year. And so notice how we tend to do that more this time of year, right? It's the holidays, so it's okay to do that. It's the holidays, so we really intentionally carve out that space and time for fun, for a little more spaciousness, for a little bit more rest. But pay attention to how much that serves you this time of year. And then see, well, let me borrow that and see if it is serving me this time of year. How can I make that true every month, not just a once a year thing or a twice a year thing? You don't work in corporate anymore if you're a business owner. You work for yourself. You get to set the parameters. You get to do something different in your business than what a corporate or a 9 to 5 did. You get to set those different ground rules, and you get to also make that connection and see when you do that, when you show up as the CEO, to make that CEO time to think, to plan, to have the audit, but also to treat yourself like the CEO. I'm always saying, right, to my clients, you are the most valuable asset in your business. You have to treat yourself like the most valuable asset in your business. What is it Denise Duffield Thomas always says? You're the golden goose. Don't kill the golden goose. You have to love on the golden goose, which means making that connection that yes, CEO time to audit and plan, but also CEO time to have fun, to play, to rest, and really leaning into the play fun part. I guarantee you, if you look at anyone in the online space who you admire, any entrepreneurs you're like, oh, I just really admire their business, or I really admire the success they've created, I bet you they're having fun. I bet you they're making space for play. I bet you they're bringing levity to their business. So notice how, if that's true for them, of course, it's true for you too. And we tend to bring more of that in this time of year. We have so many reasons to, right? But you as the CEO get to build those reasons in next year, so you can have those same benefits all year long, those year-long results, those year-long benefits, not just this time of year. Okay, getting off my soapbox. We probably could just have a whole live stream around that. Probably do a whole podcast around that, right? Around the importance of play and fun and joy in your business and rest. But we bake that in here. I feel clearly very strongly about this. It's also been such, and I will share this transparently because I think it's helpful for everyone to hear. It's also, I'm an ex-actress. I'm such a playful, fun, creative person, but I'm also very much a typical high achiever, and I'm someone who loves my business and loves to work, and I love to support clients. And so this has also been a really big edge for me. We've probably talked about this in the podcast so many different ways. I also, as part of when I'm healing around trauma in therapy, I have such a trauma response where I derive a lot of safety from working. And so I share this with you because this has been such an edge for me. It's why my coach said that to me years ago. It's why I noticed that correlation so acutely of when I bring in spaciousness, when I bring in joy, when I bring in fun and play, that is directly linked to the money in my business. My brain now sees that as the more I prioritize my peace, the more I prioritize my joy, the more I prioritize spaciousness and play, the more money I make. I can just see that direct correlation, but that doesn't mean it's not an edge for me. I'm still wired as someone who derives safety from work and loves her work also. And I don't think that's a bad thing. That's a different conversation, to love your work. And I also can see the benefits of, I've built my business on consistency. And so there can be that edge of is it really okay? Is this how much can I play? So I share that with you just to say if there's some stuff coming up around that for you, or some noise coming up around, wait, can I really have more fun all year long? Can I really play more? To notice, of course you can. And of course it's also normal if that's kicking up an edge for you. That might just mean this is the opportunity and mindset work for you, and the opportunity for where can you create some more safety for yourself and your business around these concepts, around play, around fun, around joy, and where can you create some more of those links that when I have fun, when I bring in joy, that allows me to make more money, and even to see in the doing of your business, where can you bring in more fun and play? Hey, Nicole, nice to see you live. So I hope that is helpful for y'all. I'm going to give you all a quick recap because I've been now chatting for a whole hour on this. And I will give you a recap because we talked sales strategies, practical strategies, and we also talked some of the planning of the strategies you can borrow from the holidays to make next year your most profitable. These are strategies we tend to employ a little more this time of year that I want to invite you to play with year long. So on the sales side, we really talked about the mindset of it being okay to sell year long, not just for Black Friday, and seeing where do you need to give yourself permission to sell more? Where do you need to be the CEO and the marketer, and create some reasons for people to buy, some exciting times, some incentives for people to buy, looking at your messaging around why is now the time for someone to buy from you specifically, not just doing that this time of year, doing that year long. And then also playing with incentives, not discounts, but playing with those incentives. How can you incentivize people to make that buying decision, and really seeing that as a powerful sales strategy you can employ. I think that was everything on the sales side. And then with the planning side of things, because we employ so many planning strategies this time of year, a couple of things we talked about is really how successful people who make more money, spend more time planning. That's not me, sad to say this. And looking at how we tend to plan more this time of year so we can take time off, so we can create spaciousness. How can you take that practice year long and intentionally spend some more time planning, some more time batching content ahead of time, or whatever, it doesn't have to be content ahead of time, communicating with team, planning things out in advance, and just having that communication so that you can set yourself up for success. We talked about planning in advance and how important that is year long. And then we talked about the importance of setting up expectations and clear boundaries with your clients, with your team, with your audience, and how that is a year-long strategy that supports you and your foundations in business. We talked about having a business audit and we talked about a lot today. I gave you all a lot to think about, so pick one of these. You don't need to pick all of these, obviously. We talked about giving yourself a business audit and really looking at what is and is not working, and the 80-20 principle that we tend to apply more this year, and focusing on the 20% that gives you the 80% what is working. And then last but not least, we looked at fun and play in your business and outside of business, and really looking at intentionally creating that CEO time, yes, for that business audit, but also for fun and play. I have a couple more things on here, which is cracking me up. I got really on a roll with these, but we will just put this with the last book, because the last button here I have was taking care of team and clients. I think that's something we do so much this time of year that can serve you year long. So I'll put that button in everyone's mind, especially for those of you with team. So I hope that is helpful for you. Again, what I want to offer here is we covered a lot of different ideas. You don't need to do all of these. You don't need to suddenly implement all of this next year, but look at overall, what are you doing this time of year that you're doing differently than you do the rest of the year? What strategies are you implementing this time of year that's different than you do the rest of the year, that is really serving you in your business? And how can you borrow that and implement it year long? Is anything I shared today can you pick one of these and implement this year long next year, and see how just picking one new thing to focus on and implement, that can be the difference maker, right? I talked about how I focus on fun more and how that was the difference maker for me. Maybe for you, it's looking at the 80-20 principle, or spending some more time batching your content in advance, right? Pick one of these and look at, can you pick one of these strategies, one of these tools that you're using now that's working for you to implement next year, and see how just one shift can give you an exponentially larger return on your time. Make next year your most profitable yet. So I hope that is helpful for you. Again, for everyone watching, if you watching now on the replay, we are picking one winner, someone who has left a comment. I will pick this on Friday, so just leave a comment, say hi, drop an emoji, whatever you want, and you will be automatically entered. You don't have to do anything else. If you don't want the session, that's also okay. We can give it to someone else, so don't worry about that if you want to leave a comment. We have the free course Sell Out Without Feeling Like a Sellout. That is free until December 1st. I will drop a link for that. After the 1st, that is turning into a paid course. That is a completely free 6-week course where we talk about the art and strategy of heart-centered sales, selling without the ick. It's a really great freaking course. You're crazy, in my opinion, if you don't sign up for it, because it will become paid. So I will drop that below. And then last but not least, if you are interested in having support with your year-long strategy, your year-long mindset to make next year your most profitable, I think this year is doing the numbers. I think we have more than this, but so far I know at least 8 clients have hit 6 figures for the first time this year. Many clients have hit multiple 6 figures for the first time this year. Many clients have gone for multiple 6 figures, and above. And then many clients are on the way to their first 6 figures and, booked their first clients, had their first consistent 5K months this year. My clients get really great results. And if that's something you really want for yourself in business for next year, Again, next year's results start now. I would love, love, love to connect with you and see how I can support you with both the clarity and mindset and strategy and action that goes into making next year your most profitable. We do have an intensive. We're opening up an additional intensive for the month of December. So I do have that available, and then we have some spots opening up. So I will drop a consultation link for you if that is something you're interested in. I would love to connect with you, and I'd love to support you. All right. I love you all. Have a beautiful Thanksgiving for those of you who celebrate Thanksgiving. I'm grateful for all of you. Keep an eye out here. We will have some giveaways. I think we have giveaways happening next week, but we will have some giveaways happening in the group. We have a giveaway happening on Thanksgiving as well, so be sure to be in the group. There'll be lots of opportunities for you to share your promos. We have some fun giveaways because I am so thankful to all of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your time with me, and just wishing you such a beautiful holiday week. Bye, y'all.